Hey, what's good, everyone? Welcome to episode 103 with the next block. Today's a good episode, a lot of things to talk about, and we have a guest backstage waiting to come on the screen. How you doing, Crypto for Change?
I'm doing good, doing good. Obviously, we were doing better a couple weeks ago, man. Bitcoin's decided to be a little choppy. Obviously, we'll get into some of that on the second half of the show. And alts took a massive dump, depending upon which ones you were in, especially if you were in meme coins. They got slaughtered. So it's been a wild couple weeks. Bitcoin still got us, kind of sitting on the edge, wondering what it's going to do next. But I'm excited to learn a little bit more about. We had Kriss Baird on the show. It's been a couple months. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think it was like end of last year, I think was when we had him on. So we kind of learned about Project Catalyst. They've had a lot of updates. I'm excited to kind of see what they've been up to over in the Cardano world and, go from there.
Yeah. I'm definitely excited. Cardano stays active, and they seem like they hold the line in terms of community working with each other. So a lot of the Algorand people, a lot of folks could pay good attention to this right here. So without further ado, we're gonna welcome Baird to the show.
Hey
What's good?
guys, what's up? It's good to see you. Cheers, C
Yeah.
Will. Cheers, Crypto for Change. How are you? How are you?
Yep. Doing good. Doing good.
Good. Good over here. Nice to see you again. See you still building that Project Catalyst. Y'all are growing. So yeah, let's start with a quick intro again, because it has been a while since you've been on the show. Let's just tell them quickly who you are, and then we'll dive into all the good
Yeah, that
details.
has been a hot minute. So I think the last time that I was here was, as you said, the end of last year. We were talking about the outcomes of Fund 10.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm Chris. I'm head up Project Catalyst on Cardano. Catalyst is a really interesting and unique sort of foray. It's an experiment in governance and how do we organize ourselves to make decisions on things that actually matter, that help to grow, really large ecosystems and build out innovation. And so, what is Catalyst really? Well, it's a grants program at its very core, but it takes the idea of a traditional grants program and turns it on its head. Whereas, like in the legacy world, you'd have effectively just a couple of experts or a few experts making decisions on whether a proposal and a request for funding passes. Catalyst actually crowdsources the wisdom of the Cardano community to not only provide the reviews and the feedback and the opinions on people's ideas and requests for funding and startup projects, but also turns the decision making over to the power of the crowd. So when we think about how DAOs were sort of conceived, where you've got decentralized autonomous decision making taking place, there's certainly all the decentralized decision making taking place. The automated part is really difficult because that's where you have to get rule sets and irreversible smart contracts in place, and there's a lot of complexity when it comes to all of that stuff. So within the context of Catalyst, we started out with the idea that the Cardano treasury is something that's built into the design of the Cardano protocol. Every time that there's a small transaction that takes place, a transaction that takes place on the Cardano network. So C-Will sends, Crypto for Change some ADA, you send it to me, I send it, to whoever. Every time there's a transaction, a slice of the very small transaction fee goes into a treasury. The rest of it goes to the network validators, the stake pool operators, as we call it, who also then, pay staking rewards out to people that delegate. That is the proof of stake consensus model, right? But this slice of that transaction fee that goes into the treasury, well, Cardano has at the moment around about $1 billion worth of value sat in that treasury. And so, what can we be making use of that treasury for good impact to solve real world problems? And that's really the foundations of what Catalyst is all about. And so, I'm really fortunate to have had a background in setting up these sorts of things in the traditional world at national level, and having really large innovation programs, fund through public funding, great amounts of R&D and human ingenuity and whatnot. And so for the last 3 years, it's been my dream and my honor to be able to lead and be a part of Catalyst and work with quite literally thousands of people all collaborating at the highest levels of sort of, you know, human collaboration and what we aspire to in this Web3 world to actually make a difference and start building out an ecosystem.
Yeah, you know, I'd be interested to get your take on this because, you know, like I'm pretty sure the last time we spoke, you know, Algorand was, you know, there was a lot of stuff, a lot of rumors going around the community about, you know, Algorand's governance model and if, you know, how things should change, right? And I think we even some of it was looking at going to more of a retro goods style of format, which, you know, me and Seawell have been diving deep into the base optimism super chain and how they kind of do everything over there. And actually, this period of governance for Algorand is going to be the last. So right now, or as far as like with the XGov and how they're doing their entire grants program, and it's going to be, you know, kind of flipped in. There's going to be a lot of changes moving forward. But I'd be interested because Project Catalyst is still kind of, you know, people get to put their proposal up front. As long as it gets peer reviewed and it passes, then they get funding to then go and build. Do you see in any way Cardano's shifting to it seems like a lot of chains are shifting to a retro style of funding rather than kind of upfront style funding for, you know, building these goods on blockchain. What are your thoughts there and how you see that maybe evolving, changing even for Cardano? Or do you see what you guys have built as, you know what, we're good, we think this is the way to do it and we're going to keep moving forward with it?
Yeah. I mean, I think at the simplest way of putting it, with Catalyst, we've designed a model whereby, you know, actually the funded projects do get funded up front. You're funded to deliver the first milestone. You separate out your project into a set of milestones called a statement of milestones. And then we have community members that verify that those milestones are what were, you know, basically set out in the proposal that the community ultimately voted on. And then you're funded so long as you pass on that statement of milestones piece to reach milestone 1. And then, you know, at the milestone 1, when you've completed it, you go and do a proof of achievement to demonstrate to those reviewers that you've achieved the milestone and produced the deliverables. And we've now built a talent pool of community milestone verifiers and moderators. So we're empowering people and helping people to understand and learn about playing an active role in governing, you know, an ecosystem at large. So, you know, I think at that level, we're good. We're experimenting and demonstrating the art of the possible. But, you know, we're talking about startup projects typically. But when you kind of think about how do you manage then the ongoing development of the actual Cardano protocol level itself, how do you govern that? It's a whole different kettle of fish. And we've had within the Cardano ecosystem for a long, long time this idea of the age of Voltaire, where we turn over the founding entities that were the key holders, turn over the controls to the community. And so, you know, the progress update there since we last spoke is that Cardano has established Intersect, which is a members-based organization, which is basically, you know, many of the builders and the firms and all of the, you know, individuals and stakeholders that really want to play an active role in governance of Cardano and also have an interest, like, you know, you're a significant builder development firm that, you know, has the capabilities to maintain the Cardano blockchain. You want to be able to earn, you know, a contract for the next X period of time, like a year or two, to fulfill services to keep maintaining. You want to be part of Intersect so you can be part of those conversations and help to, you know, maybe influence some of the decisions around how budgeting is put together. Anyway, so this is the idea of Intersect. It becomes a place for the community to actually play an active role in deciding on how, you know, much larger sums and the sustainability of the actual protocol level upgrades, and when those upgrades take place, and who makes the decision on what goes into those upgrades. You know, that's all being done, you know, by Intersect and the community at large that are participating in committees and working groups. And, you know, again, I think it's a really fascinating human experiment.
Yeah,
to see,
I mean,
you know, people doing it.
Yeah, I feel like you guys have also, you know, you've shown that it's worked and it's continuing to work because it's still going, right? And the pool, and you know, you can obviously give the numbers here, but I mean, I don't remember exactly what it was when it was the period 10 that you guys were in for funding, but I think that number has grown. Am I wrong or am I correct there?
Yeah. So I mean, Fund 10 was the first of what will end up being 4 rounds of 50 million ADA being available. So 200 million ADA spent across 4 funding rounds, 50 million apiece. In Fund 10, the community also voted to approve the Catalyst team, so my team's runway and our funding to continue operating Catalyst and delivering our technical roadmap. So again, another big first. Catalyst is self-sustaining. We're a flywheel of innovation that is truly treasury funded and approved on by the community. So and we're talking about a community of many thousands of voters. There's 60,000 members of the Catalyst community, and in Fund 10, around 8,000 of them were participating in voting. And there's varying degrees of sizes of wallets as well. So everybody from fairly small holdings through to people that have, significant amounts of ADA. And then I can't remember the exact numbers from where we were back in Fund 10, but now on the eve of Fund 12 launching, over 2.5 million, well, nearly 2.5 million votes have been cast since day one. So over 2.48 million votes have been cast. We've now funded 1,643 projects, of which 800 of them have completed, and they all come with receipts of project closeout videos, deliverables, evidence of the projects been delivered. And these projects range from everything from doing activation campaigns at Paris Blockchain Week or Token 2049 in Dubai right now. We've got Catalyst funded projects there repping Catalyst and also their own businesses, through to crowdfunding projects in Africa, which are allowing fractionalized buying of properties and crowdfunding ownership and funding of properties through the Empower platform. And then you can imagine a world of developer tools to make it more efficient and effective for developers that are newly coming to Cardano to build cool tools and dApps and applications and stuff. Not to mention all of the other cool dApps and great startup ideas that are coming just through from the ingenuity of human creativity. It's super cool.
I mean, and we even had Sean Ford on, a couple of weeks back, and obviously their whole, a lot of what they're doing with the stable coins. And I forget that. I literally just had the name of it in my head. I don't know, maybe. Yep. And so, there's a lot of cool stuff happening there. Siwa, I don't know if you had a question that you wanted to follow up on.
Just thinking, one, I wanted to say, can you kind of go into example of a few of the newer projects that came out, a little bit more specific? And then I also remember, I think it was Charles Hoskins, or maybe it was Sean Ford, but talking about stable coins. Is anyone building a stable coin project via Project Catalyst?
And I'll also throw in there, just to kind of add on, because I know this is big for Algorand right now with this whole Chainlink CCTP thing. Are you guys going to be integrating in with that too? Because we actually had Luke from Moonwell who was saying, talking about a lot of the communities. They said Solana just got added. Algorand obviously was one that could be added. I didn't know if Cardano is on on that roadmap as well, but I'd be interested to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. I can't say for certain. To be honest with you, I'm not 100% certain myself. So I would like to think that there are people working on at least evaluating and analyzing whether it's easy to get involved and integrated with. On the stablecoin front, I would just say watch this space and we'll wait and see. Because there's a lot of good things that are definitely in flight, and I know that it's only a matter of time. I mean, the point is UTXO is a different way of doing accounting on blockchain, and so naturally it's going to take a little bit more time for more established firms that have already built out their integrations on account state models or EVM. To come across and dedicate time and resources to another way of accounting, right? So it's not surprising; it's just taking a bit longer. But I'd say watch this space, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Fund 12 really produces, because Fund 12 is going to bring about some really, really interesting new stuff. So I know you wanted to talk about what came out of Fund 11. So most recently, I'll just touch on a couple of the projects. And I would say, the easiest way to check out yourselves is to go to projectcatalyst.io.
You want to pull that up, see, Will?
Yep. Hold on, and then I'll just talk you through exactly where to go.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
I'm a visual learner, so I like seeing it.
And in the meantime, we're launching Fund 12 starting next week. So maybe we can start there. If we see this page, fantastic. So we're beginning the launch of Fund 12 next week. We'll be in Barcelona, taking this in person for the very first time. So we're going to be deeply integrated and engaged with the community. I can't wait to verify that people actually have legs. And then we'll be launching Fund 12, which is 50 million ADA, available for proposals. You'll have a proposal window of about 3 weeks, so you need to get on it quite quickly. But there are a whole host of categories that are very easy to identify where you should fit. If this is your first time building out a product or a project, I'd say think about Cardano use cases. And use cases concept, where you can just do some early prototyping. If you're one of the biggest projects in your space and you want to do an integration with Cardano, there's going to be a track for you. If you are wanting to do a marketing project, there is an ecosystem category for you. So, I think it's pretty easy to orient once you'll find out a bit more about those categories once we launch. And then, you submit your proposal within the submission window. The community will review it. And then in June, we'll be having the voting session. So this idea journey needs, there you go. We've got it looking where it needs to be. I was making sure that this was the right dates, but I wasn't sure if it had been updated. So it does look like it's the updated. This is the current schedule. We're looking at end of April start. Community voting will be at the end of June, and then you'll be starting your projects in the summer, in July. So to give you a flavor of the things that were funded in the last funding round. So we added this track called Cardano Use Cases Product. And this is for the most mature projects in Cardano to put forward their proposals for funding of up to 750,000 ADA. So we had projects like real-world asset tokenization minting capabilities for MMaker. MMaker is one of the leading NFT.
Is there a page I can go to?
I was about to ask, is there one that shows like the ones that are getting approved?
So actually, if you go to funds and then click Fund 11 and then hit Cardano Use Cases Product, I would go to. And this is some of the most mature projects in the ecosystem. They battle it out in their own category, right? And the idea here is, guys, if you've got the smallest guys, the most earliest stage of ideas competing against the most mature with the biggest communities, who do you think is going to win out? So we separated these tracks so that the earliest stages of ideas can just flourish in their own space, and they can germinate and grow into beautiful oak trees later on down the line. But Charlie is one of the leading Oracle platforms with building on Cardano. Maestro is a really well-known project. If you go down to Cardano Scan analytics charts, we can look at we're in. So here we go. Newham, Maya. Newham's a music streaming application. They're doing royalty attribution direct peer-to-peer. Nice. So there's
that real world asset tokenization one I think you were talking about, minting the right there 750K budget down one.
That's right. So if you look at real world tokenization minting capabilities, MMaker is one of the leading NFT studios and platforms for creating, and they've done some fractionalization projects as well. There's loads of stuff going on, right? There's almost too much to really
y'all working over there.
One thing
exciting.
And you know, as I said, Fund 12 is going to produce another. There were 300 projects funded in Fund 11, and so we expect and anticipate another 300 projects funded in Fund 12. And yeah, by that point, if we hit 350, we'll be at 2,000 projects funded since we started, which is.
And what's the time frame on that? When was the first fund?
Fund 1 was effectively January 21.
Yeah.
So
wow, that's huge.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, you know, what are some of the, you know, hurdles, I guess, you know, from a, you know, lead points perspective for Project Catalyst that you still see that, you know, Cardano needs to get over, or things that you know, could be improved upon maybe for Project Catalyst?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things, and actually we're fulfilling a technical roadmap to really iron out some of that stuff. You know, the devil's in the detail, so I don't want to go too deep, but yeah, we were operating on a side chain of Cardano called Jormungandr. And so the voter registrations were going through the main chain, which was our main chain, you know, component. But you know, the actual voting was taking place on the side chain, and that's because high throughput's needed, and we also implemented privacy preserving capabilities. So you know, when you're dealing with millions of ADA, you don't necessarily, and particularly voting on it, you don't want to risk coercion and people knowing what your voting decisions are, right? I think we talked about this last time. We don't want the boys to be sent round to your house to influence which way you vote. Because
no lobbying or anything.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So privacy preserving capabilities is really important. But then being able to maintain, you know, the infrastructure and have it be inexpensive and scalable, and you know, thinking about how does this, you know, go beyond Cardano, is all part and parcel of our deep thinking over the last few years. And so we're now fulfilling a roadmap which will result in, you know, a multi-token capability to be able to use that for voting power. We'll be able to use different voting mechanics to, you know, diversify the sorts of influence that we have, because one ADA, one vote is you know, just one model. And you know, some people talk about that being plutocratic at that point, right? So you know, he who holds the most gold has the most influence. Now it has a place, and it certainly serves its purpose. I really believe and truly believe that we haven't experienced that to any negative effects within Catalyst at all. You might hear contrary just because it's possible, on social media, but I live this day in, day out, and you know, if it was detrimental, we'd be dealing with it. But the point is to be able to have more voting protocol capabilities that are cryptographically and privacy preserving solid, takes some time. So that's where we are now. We're building some of that out, and then, you know, the other part of this is just making sure it all works in a really compliant way.
Yeah. And
think about it.
Hopefully a smooth UI experience for the people.
Payments every 2 weeks, and we're making sure that these projects are getting funded.
Yeah,
we're not just building using off-the-shelf support solutions to do that, because of the way that, you know, we're trying to architect this in a way that's meaningful, so people can be able to use this for the long term. And all that is really difficult to overcome.
What do you think about like the network effect this causes? Because something on Algorand that people talk about is like how many new wallets are created, how many people are actually using these dApps or doing NFTs and whatnot. Can you speak on that network effect that Project Catalyst funding these projects is having to Cardano?
Yeah. I mean, I think even it's beyond Cardano really, because people are beginning to bring other people on board. It's having ripple effects outside of even crypto, right? I can say that with confidence, and we will see what that means in this funding round. I'm certain of that. But you know, what does it mean in Catalyst? Well, we've been providing economic agency and activity to many thousands of people for quite some time now. And I think that's just a really good vibe moment for the Web3 industry. It's something that should be celebrated. You know, people have been able to leave their full-time jobs and work on their dreams and ambitions via Catalyst. And, you know, even during the depths of a bear market, which might be, you know, long translated or whatnot, we shall see. We've still been able to deliver the goods. We've still been able to demonstrate that there's so much going on within our ecosystem, and it doesn't just die because retail liquidity dries up. We've got a mechanism built into the design of the protocol via the treasury system, and a method that's also tried and tested and sort of war torn and battle tested somewhat within Catalyst and the tools that we've built. So I think we're hardened to the depths of the bear market at the moment, and that can only cause a good network effect. People are going to be talking about this and wanting to bring more people in, because it's an opportunity where there might not have been an opportunity before, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about multi-client stuff, I would like to think that within the next 12 months you'll see Catalyst working beyond just the Cardano ecosystem, and that's all going to start coming together over the course.
And that's honestly what you want to see. I mean, you want to see projects reaching out and being multi-chain, bringing other minds in, even from other ecosystems, to continue building out and building unique ways to just move value, move money, move the space forward. So
exactly that.
I want to bring up these other links you shared. Let's talk about some of these upcoming events and the community building that y'all doing over here in Cardano.
Yeah, so we're really pleased to be working in collaboration with Rare Network, which the Rare Evo blockchain event is happening in Las Vegas in August, and at Caesar's Palace, and that's going to be a really good destination. And in the lead up to August, there's all these great Catalyst working group events that are taking place worldwide. And what happened in Fund 11 is the community approved a proposal to create a budget to pay for these working groups to take place, and to launch the Catalyst Fund 12 launch event in person, and decide on a city from a selection of Buenos Aires, Sydney, Tokyo, Toronto, Barcelona, and Nairobi. And the community voted Barcelona to be the destination. So we're taking Catalyst for the very first time in real life to launch Fund 12. But if you want to get involved with just understanding a bit more about Catalyst, or contributing to some of the discussion around, what are the sorts of things that Cardano Treasury should be funding via Catalyst, or how can we take projects to the next stage and accelerate them, there are all these different working groups all around the world that you can join. And then there's also a whole host of online workshops if you can't make them in person. But if you're in Barcelona and you're listening to this show and you want to join us in a few days' time, we're going to be at the W Hotel on next Friday, all day and all evening. It's going to turn into quite the fiesta.
Yeah. I mean, if flights, well, one I'll say is if the bull market had kept going and Bitcoin didn't take a dump on us, then maybe I'd have a little bit of that extra funds. But I do not live that close, but I know there's actually quite a few people who do watch our show who are close and do live in that Barcelona area. So be sure to, if you can catch a train, catch a quick flight over, hang out with the Project Catalyst team in Barcelona. I know Algorand's going to have their event later on this year in the summer in Barcelona. So I already know many people are making plans to be out there, and it looks like a fun place to be. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't wait.
Definitely.
Super cool.
Yeah, getting busy.
Yeah,
Barcelona.
It's been too long since I've not been to a big crypto event since Algorand did their one in Dubai, and obviously I'm glad I didn't go to the one in Dubai this time around. But I definitely need to make it to another big crypto event here in the coming months, especially if this market keeps getting as frothy as it was just a couple weeks ago.
Well, if we could talk about that for a second, I would really suggest for a cross-chain event experience, Rare Evo in August is the one. I've just shared a link with you.
Okay, yeah.
Pull it up.
Bring it up, and because this is really the one. It's going to be fantastic. They do truly have cross-chain
Las Vegas,
reach,
huh? Okay.
and it's going to be.
Never been to Vegas.
I've never been to Vegas either. It's going to be wild.
Yeah,
a long time since I've been to Vegas.
rumor has it I'm going to be back to back DJing with someone very, very reputable and well known from the Bitcoin space, which is very
You say DJ?
yeah.
I feel like would it be
Okay.
Scott Meltner? No, I know he used to DJ back in the day. Now he's got his YouTube podcast, but
Well, yeah, I think if you do your own DYOR, you might be able to figure out, one or two people who knew it might be. But
it's crazy. I just seeing the video of Charles Hodgson. I didn't realize he was 36. I definitely thought Charles Hodgson was older than that. I was like, damn, he's
Wow,
like,
he's young.
I know I'm not that far off from him. I was kind of
Charlie.
blown away. Yeah.
Wow, yeah,
Charlie.
young boy.
I saw, someone posted about him being 36. I was like, there's no way. I went to Google.
I was gonna say 46, but
I don't think I would have gone
Shout out to
46,
him.
but I definitely would have thought in his 40s. But hey, he's young. He's still got plenty of time.
Yes,
ahead, so.
Vitalik's young too, like that.
Yeah.
Maybe younger. Yeah. Okay,
But
so
no,
where
for sure.
So Las Vegas in August, y'all. So
Yeah.
make sure you check this out here. A lot of speakers. Let me go to the speakers here.
Loads of cool stuff
Some
going on.
influencers.
Yeah. Singularity Net, a
Mhm.
big sort of feature they've got. Listen, I'm not going to talk through this because I'll do a really terrible job of it. But it's going to be a wild party. As I said, it's very cross-chain.
Oh yeah, Sebastian. Yeah, he was on our show.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the good thing about some of these events is even if you're maybe you just don't even know exactly what maybe what you want to build or where you fit. Like I feel like sometimes going to these events, really the people you network with and the the energy that comes from them can kind of push you in the direction maybe you need to go. And so sometimes even if you don't have a specific reason to be in an event, sometimes hey, if it's close, if you can get there, you should, because it can really inspire you to do some cool stuff. I feel like
absolutely the opportunity to collaborate with people really and just build some bonds and some relationships, and certainly that's what we've needed a bit more of given the last few years. So it's nice to be in person really and just get to share the experiences together.
Yeah. Well, is there anything, I guess, Kriss, that maybe we hadn't mentioned, about Project Catalyst and kind of updates before we let you go?
So I guess the only other thing to say is that, to build and riff on your idea of not knowing exactly where to fit, best thing to do is once we've launched, we run weekly town halls on a Wednesday. Come and join a town hall or watch it on the IOHK YouTube channel. You don't just have to submit a proposal to get involved. You can actually give your opinion on proposals submitted and you'll receive ADA in compensation for spending your time giving your opinion.
Yeah.
So if you want to get involved and earn a little bit of ADA in rewards for your efforts, that's a really good place to start.
So this is the YouTube channel here. Oh, shoot.
And I will say, the last time we had Kriss on, our channel, we actually went a lot more in depth about the process that it goes through on, submitting, being, I guess you could say, one of the people who critique the submissions and are rewarded. So, go back and watch that video. We definitely broke it down a whole lot more if you'd be interested even in that type of, side of Project Catalyst.
Yeah, it's a great way to dive in, and then you'll build some more relationships, and maybe one day you'll be a proposer or collaborating with someone that's on a project, or maybe that's not what you want to do at all, and you like to lurk and just give the reviews, and that's your thing.
Like to lurk.
It's
tons of people like to lurk on the internet and give their thoughts.
So many.
It might as well get paid for it,
right? It's working really well. There's thousands of reviewers, and I think it all contributes to some good information that ultimately gets to voters to help make some decisions. And it's important to be a part of it. I think this is one of our grand opportunities to participate in taking back a bit of control.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we got the Bitcoin happening tomorrow, which means the bull market's just getting started. So a lot of exciting things are going to be happening in the months to come. So be sure to go check out everybody, Project Catalyst. Kriss, thanks again so much for hopping on the show with us to give us an update on what you guys are doing. And obviously we're going to have you back on, probably later on this year, once, some of these funds wrap up and see what other cool things have been built.
Yeah, can't wait. And yeah, hopefully you'll submit a proposal and we'll talk about your successes.
There we go. And for our audience, we're going to take a quick ad break, and then we're going to be right back. We're going to talk a little bit more about, obviously the Bitcoin halving, some of the things happening in the markets, as well as some things happening on Algorand. So stay tuned.
All right. Thank you, Kriss.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
And
Hey,
welcome back.
what's good, y'all? Welcome back to episode 3. We just had Kriss Baird on. So big shout out to him, breaking down Project Catalyst and everything that you need to know here. Second half of the show, we're about to dive into some Algorand, some Bitcoin. I see it in the chat. You want some
Everything.
Velodrome, a little
I was
bit.
about to say I'll say this.
Hold on.
I saw the news that WorldCoin is building on the OP stack, so they're joining the super chain, which I think that's even more bullish for anyone who is excited about things on Velodrome, because Velodrome is going to become, I think, the next Uniswap, so the main liquidity hub. And I was just looking at the tweet they dropped today, 43 minutes ago, about with the Slipstream LP rewards. Right now, you got, if you have OP and USDC, 3,727%.
Pull it up.
all right. Let me see here.
Might as well. Let's show them what was shown.
Oh, not that. Share screen. There we go. So boom, right there. You see, you got 3,727% USDC wrapped ETH, 3187 wrapped ETH OP. I mean, look at these. I mean, those are some massive yields right now,
crazy.
Especially if you're, talking about, the market kind of going sideways down and you're, stuff like that. Well, at least you could be earning some really good daily yields if you are using Velodrome and you are supplying that liquidity. And one of the things, like I said, let me see, this is a super chain, but I want to say, I don't know if they'll have it on here, but I did see the announcement from, that was on the super chain about, what's it called? WorldCoin, right? So WorldCoin is going to be launching on the super chain. So that's something else that's pretty cool, I think, and will be pretty bullish going forward. Let me close that out. But one thing I do want to bring up again, let me get all my windows. I should have had this ready to go.
Yeah, I got a couple as well.
I'm just going to bring up my chart that I got on Bitcoin. You can go ahead and pull that up whenever you want. So here's kind of, we've really just been chopping. I know I got this line right here, but really, I mean, you could just say right now we got our, let me see here if I can find what I want. Rectangle. You got up here, you got this level of really just resistance that Bitcoin has just continued to hit. And then I think down here, you've got obviously your supply zone, which this is where we've just been bouncing between. And honestly, if you go back to the last time that we saw, especially if you look at a lot of RSI indicators, where, with just Bitcoin being as low as it is currently, the last time was in January, right? So it was right in, this area right here, that we could be seeing, right? We had a lot of chop, and then we had that one really big drawdown right before the big run up. And I think that's what a lot of people seem to be insinuating, that we still may get, maybe we get back up and we touch something here, with this recent Bitcoin halving obviously happening tomorrow. But then there still might be some further downside where we got to come down and touch, in this 50K range, kind of like you saw down here where it broke below that support, but it was brief, before it ended up, on this big, massive run that we saw. But I've also seen people say, with the halving, maybe since we've had some choppiness leading into it, that, we're just going to blow straight up and continue this run. I'm still in the camp right now that we are going to see something. Where's my little... There we go. I think we're still going to be in the camp where we're going to see something along the lines of, this come up, retest right here, sweep those lows around 56, 58 before we get that breakout. I mean, that's just my thoughts. I mean, so I would say, especially if you're an altcoin holder, and you got wrecked, obviously, when Bitcoin made this big move, and when the, stock market, because of the war and the Iraq stuff, like if you got wrecked there, if you see some of yours make, some of your coins make a really good rebound, it might be a smart idea to take a little bit more off just to be safe, because you can always buy back in if Bitcoin runs and breaks, right? But buying a false breakout, you don't want to get caught right here, and you don't want to get caught right here if you're a bear, right? So that's why I think Bitcoin likes to, it likes to give both, right? And so I think we're going to get a little bit of a run. Stocks are oversold in a lot of areas, and then I think we're going to get one last flush out before we ultimately see, crypto take off. And even if you look at the, let's see, I don't think I have total 3. It's bouncing as well. And I know I don't have my indicators up that I normally do, but that it is bouncing off of a key, moving average right here. So there is a reason why we're seeing that support hold up. And also, if you just look at the history, there is a lot of price action in here. So I'm sure if you zoomed into the volume shelf, you'd see a lot of volume that it'd be sitting on. But as far as alts, I think we've I think we've been flushed out. I think we are ready for that next leg up. And I'll tell you, it's going to be exciting when it comes. What are you seeing right now?
Well, what I do see, let me pull this up. Let me go to it. But I agree with what you're saying. There's a few possibilities that we all going to see what we do want to see. Bitcoin halving, right? One day. So rumor is it that dump down was, like you named a few things that are happening globally around the world. Bitcoin did already hit an all-time high. A lot of people have took some profits as well, but Bitcoin has held that 60,000 level, particularly like 62,000. And then we got one day to the halving. And we know that we always talk about it, but BlackRock and some of the big dogs, other than Jamie Dimon, who we know personally, I think owns Bitcoin.
He does.
And we know JP Morgan has Bitcoin products. He just has a personal opinion. But Bitcoin halving is in one day, right? And historically, after the halving, in the next coming months, Bitcoin goes crazy. So to see Bitcoin already hit an all-time high, we're on that 4-year cycle. I'm still bullish.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I'm still bullish. I don't know how high it'll go, but I am there.
Yeah, I definitely think we could easily see, and like I said, a lot of it does still depend upon the macro conditions and everything that happens outside. It's not, Bitcoin's not going to run, just because it's the halving, it doesn't mean it's just going to run up, even if there's crazy geopolitical tensions and all the stuff that's going on. There, you have to keep those things in mind. But yeah, right now it seems like there's not many reasons to not be bullish on Bitcoin, especially with the halving coming up and the fact that it has kind of held this 60K area. Like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, maybe a sweep of 58K, maybe even a drop to 50K. I mean,
maybe,
you have, I don't want it, but just mainly because I'm in heavy in alts right now. I'm ready for alt season to kick in. So I'm kind of ready for
Yeah,
Go
I'm in
ahead.
groups too, and anytime that thing goes to buy 60, everybody's like, buy, Bitcoin, buy. And that's that sentiment I'm getting is like people are holding the line at about 60,000
Yeah.
mentally,
And
right?
it's good to
And that's
see.
where, yeah,
Yeah, it's good to see also right there, fear and greed index hitting neutral
yep,
finally. I mean,
55.
that's a good reset indicator. The stock market is in fear. So like, we're
Yes.
taught to buy the fear, sell the greed. Obviously the greed has come down because people are sitting on the edge of their seats wondering what the heck this market is about to do. Because everybody's on edge, right?
Yeah, let's take this one question real quick about, I'm assuming, Velodrome. So as the super chain grows and more projects launch on it, the price never seems to fluctuate with the new developments. Is it due to it taking a good deal of time to affect the price?
What price
Thank
are
you
we
for that
talking about?
question.
Are we talking
I
about
think
the
he's talking
price of
about
Velo?
Velodrome. Yeah, Velodrome.
So here's my thoughts on why Velodrome is not, maybe reacting,
Let
moving
me go to
as
Velo.
fast and as high as say maybe Aerodrome or even some of the other things. And that's just because the narrative has not been pushed for the super chain yet, right? So you're like, I think you're getting the foundation set, right? I mean, you just got WorldCoin announcing they're going to build on the super chain. You got Base, which is literally Coinbase, Larry Fink, and all of the Wall Street
Yep.
saying that they're literally like Wall Street doesn't know how much money Base is making. Like I seriously don't think they get it yet. And but once I think those things happen, people are going to realize what value that can be built and extrapolated on the super chain. And that's when I think people are going to realize how valuable things like Aerodrome. I mean, I think people already see how valuable Aerodrome is. I just think Aerodrome kind of kicked off its run early because of the Coinbase listing, followed up by Coinbase Ventures saying, "Hey, we're going to invest and we're going to, it's kind of like just getting the all systems go, take off." Whereas Velodrome is kind of waiting for the entire super chain idea to really take hold. And I also think like, there's still some things in the space that are, people question DeFi, right? You see a lot of these
Yeah.
high yields. A lot of people are like, all right, where's that? We've seen those before, and a lot of times,
I got rocked. Yeah.
right? A lot of times, if you see high yields and you don't really know where it's coming from, usually it's coming from you by you
Yes.
adding your money in. But I will say, with Velodrome and Aerodrome, the new mechanisms that they have are a lot better than the old ones that we saw die off and really not be successful in the last bull run. So I think you just got to be patient. I still hold a crap ton of Velodrome. I still hold a crap ton of Aerodrome. I think both of them are going to be amazing contenders to the Uniswaps, the Curve, all those things in the coming bull market, especially, like I said, with the yields. Like, people are not, retail, as many people may tell you that retail is here. Retail is not here yet. Like,
No.
they are not, because, you'll know when retail is there is when, like, it's just euphoric. Like, the prices are like, you can't even understand how it's going that high. Like, that's literally the way it felt back in the 2020, 2021 bull run. Is like, you couldn't make sense of it. No
I
one
didn't know
could make
what was
sense.
happening.
No one could make sense that Doge was a 60 billion market cap token. And, and then you had all the other ones, even after that. I mean, even in a small ecosystem that when we started in Algorand, like, we couldn't, it
Let
was
me pull that
crazy
up
seeing
too.
some of those things go wild. And so I think once you really start to hit the euphoria of this bull market, that's when you'll see some of these things just taking off to insane levels. So I think the whole super chain idea, it just has to, it's the foundation's being built now. I think we give it the next couple months. I think you're really going to see the price and the effect that Velodrome and Aerodrome have take effect. And that's where I think you'll also see the price go up.
So speaking of the, let me go back to Algorand. So let's dive in on some of that news here. Let me go to it here. So Folks Finance selects, oh, Folks Finance selects Avalanche. My screen's going crazy right now. All right, so selects Avalanche as its hub, and so a couple people tagged us on Twitter. Think about what y'all think about this. My initial thought, if y'all been watching our show recently, Ethereum has the liquidity. We have been talking about it. We've been covering Base probably for the last several months now. We were just talking about Velo and Aerodrome. And we see that I think Folks Finance has also seen the same thing. And that doesn't necessarily, I can't speak for them whether they're, putting Algorand on the back burner or they're just doing what's strategic for their business. But we do know Avalanche is plugged into Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
So they are choosing Avalanche as that hub, from my understanding, is because of the cross-chain engine, like this headline says.
Yeah, I think that it literally goes back to when we talked with Luke from Moonwell, the CCTP that Chainlink is enabling with this USDC able to move and mint and not need bridges, but there are certain chains that this is already built on. Chainlink's already operating with. And you if you've been a user, I think, of Folks Finance, that they've been working a lot with Chainlink over the past 2, 3, 4 months. And so right now that CCTP, that connection has not been made to Algorand. Now, I did see a tweet from John Wood saying that he's pushing for it and they're trying to make that a go. And even talking with Luke, he said that Algorand, at least there's activity with USDC, so it makes sense. So I do think that will come, and I think that the liquidity will flow in Folks Finance to Algorand still. But I think from a strategic business standpoint, I mean, Folks Finance is doing the things that many projects have to do to survive, and not survive, right? We're not in the bear market anymore. We're in the bull market. So
I think you listen with Algorand. I think you said the right word. No disrespect, but it is survive, because if we look at the metrics and the numbers, like you said, we're in the bull market, and Algorand hasn't shown us bull market.
Algorand is still in a bear market almost to an extent. I mean, it had a rally, but it's literally already given up 60% of the gains that it had. And right now, even if you look at the chart, you could say it's come back down and it's testing a area of support to bounce off of and go higher. And zoom out to the all-time, right? Go to the all-time of Algorand's chart.
You don't want to pull that up.
Just do it real quick. I got to show people something. So if you go back and you look at I know it's a bloody chart, but if you go back and you look at the past runs when it was leading into that bull run, it had many times where it ran up a good 20, 30, maybe even 100%, and it still corrected and ate almost all of those gains up. So
here again,
in my opinion, what you're seeing now, yes, it may run to 70 cents a dollar, but don't fall in love with your bags. Like, I feel like if Algorand does that,
about 2 months of it being high, then it crashes.
Yeah, and so you really have to be careful with some of the tokens, right? And you have to realize that there has to be value that's being built that adds value to the chain. And I think for a lot of people, and even for Folks Finance, I just don't think they're not seeing the value in maybe keeping Algorand as the main hub, right? Because that's the thing I was saying, like with Base, Avalanche, and a lot of these other chains, they're in a bull season, right? That the excitement's there, the builders are there, the new things dropping is there, the liquidity is there. And you just don't have that liquidity on Algorand.
Ethereum's almost at all-time high again.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me go to AVAX. So I mean, I think
AVAX did take a pretty big hit, I feel like, as well, but it's still, the chart all time is definitely doesn't look as bad as Algorand's, but
and
that's
we
also
were
just
kind of seeing the signs, from Folks Finance, right? They went outside of Algorand ecosystem. Yeah, even this chart right here, it's doing really good, to be honest.
Yeah, and honestly, if you look at that, that's a healthy pullback on the way to hopefully, especially if it, I will say if it crosses below that, it makes a lower low, then maybe Avalanche is heading further down. But right now, it still could turn and make a higher low, and then go ahead to make a higher high. Algorand's already making a lower low on the time frames and is hanging on to support. And honestly, from my experience the past 6-8 months, and reason why I've moved a lot of my personal bags into certain other ecosystems is because Algorand's price action has risen, but it's only risen with the kind of the tide raises all boats scenario. Whereas there are certain ecosystems I feel can and do move against even sometimes Bitcoin, or maybe not against, but when Bitcoin goes choppy like it is now, there are certain ecosystems that are still doing fine, flourishing, new things are being built, and there are other ones that are like dead in the water. Like they will not move until Bitcoin makes the next big move.
Yeah,
those are the ecosystems in my point where it's like you're leaving money on the table because you're too afraid to go out and test some different things. Now I get it, especially for a lot of the Algorand faithful, the tech battle and the tech discussion is a huge thing, and you don't want to use inferior chains that you don't think have the the tech, but at the end of the day they got the money, and that's what we're all here for, right? I mean, I get it.
The argument's always like, tribal techism, technocracy or whatever, versus making some money, right? And I think, as you said, most people, I said it too, I argue with people about this or debate it. We came for some money, but we found a great community, right? So that was a big thing that I do value, is that Algorand has a tight community. We met some really cool people. We done seen people in real life. But if you want to make some money, and folks is kind of, showing us this as well, the VCs are not there in Algorand anymore, unfortunately. So people have to pay attention to that. And if you want to be a sustainable business, we've seen Algo Foundry's out now. The NFT Explorer's out. Is Rand Gallery still around? There's like a lot of things that are closing that has been around for the last few years. And if they, don't pivot, you're not going to be able to survive, because these people are business people. At the end of the day, the word project confuses people because it's not a project. A project isn't a business, but everyone's building a business technically, and investors want to make money.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Any business has to go where, you're not going to build your business, right? I'm not going to build a flower shop out in the middle of the desert. I'm probably not. Like,
all the flowers are gonna be drying up, and water's hella expensive, right?
Exactly. If I'm gonna build a business, I'm gonna build it where the people are, right? I want to be in the downtown. I want to be in the spot that people walk past, where the traffic is. Right now, it's just not happening, on Algorand. Now, but that's not to say it can't, right? I mean, Algorand has definitely flexed in the past couple months that it can handle, right, the TPS with the orange juicing and all that stuff. Like, it's flexed. Like, hey, Solana goes down and gets slowed and does all this other stuff, on, getting bogged down with transactions, Ethereum to the same extent. Algorand can handle it, but Algorand still has yet to solve the liquidity issue of how can it attract the liquidity from these other chains. And currently, we're not seeing it. We're seeing Folks Finance, one of the leading DeFi things, start to choose Avalanche. We're seeing, I mean, even Gora is creating an ERC20 token. Obviously their hub is still Algorand, but that's where, even when we had Stacy Warden on a couple months back, I asked her the question of what cool things were coming out of that buildable hackathon, like what cool things are coming. She kind of just danced around the idea. There wasn't really a definitive, like, oh, we got some cool things. It's mainly just been, they have Python right now. It's easier to develop on Algorand, but even then, and you kind of said at one time when it was just me and you talking, it's like, it just seems like Algorand's attracting hobbyists, people who want to learn how to code and want to practice on a blockchain, rather than actually build a legitimized business to attract retail. And
this is another thing I'll add too, because you say hobbyists, or I said hobbyists last time. I 100% think that's truly what's happening, because if you're targeting students, they're still in their studies, right? And Project Catalyst, we just had Kriss on. He's breaking down how they're giving away millions of dollars to people who are building businesses, and there was no student program that he mentioned not one time on these shows, right? So he even is inviting us and other people who are active to come and test out this ecosystem. We pulled up these events. They're all around the world, right? They're everywhere. And Algorand is, doing events. I don't really know, not quite sure. They're doing a few hackathons. They keep going to Dubai, right? But they're not everywhere, it seems like. And a lot of these events, like NFT Paris, I've been there. It's a great event. But when I went there, 99% of everything was on Ethereum.
Yeah.
So, and that's what people understand, unfortunately, is they understand Ethereum, and that's why Base is going crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's that they understand Ethereum, because like I feel like most people I talk to, I mean, obviously, die hard.
They don't understand crypto,
They don't, I think they understand where money is, and they understand, that's business, like business 101, right? You're not going to bring a product to market if there's no place to sell it. Like, you got to have a place to sell it, and there's got to be liquidity. And I think that's just where Algorand's facing its issues. But like, Folks Finance is noticing, like, I feel like we've noticed, there are plenty of other chains. There's plenty of other spots in the crypto space that are thriving right now. They're not surviving, they're thriving, and the money's there. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're looking at where the big players are in the space, the Larry Finks, the Coinbase, all those things, and what they're doing, like that's where I would be hedging some of my bets. Not saying you got to,
Yeah.
not saying you got to go
You don't
chase
gotta dump.
Solana meme
No.
coins. You don't even
No.
have to dump algo, right? I mean, you could still
You don't have
hold
to dump.
algo if you think the long-term
I'm holding
viability is
algo.
there. Yeah, but I mean, I'll say this: it was also kind of funny. I saw a tweet yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, right as Bitcoin was like hitting the right under 60K. Binance put out a tweet saying that they were converting something, US, pretty much Bitcoin to USDT or stable coins to solidify themselves. And we're like, is Binance literally going to sell the top? Like Binance has got to be going through it, right? I mean, CZ would never be selling the top. He'd be putting fours up, and he'd be, like they'd be like aping some craziness. But it really does seem like the narrative has fully gone from Binance being this like top dog elite to Coinbase is now probably going to come in and take that number one
CZ
spot.
out, they took
yeah.
CZ. Let's get to this real quick. This is my first halving, so I'm anxious. I would say this, man, don't be anxious. Just kind of do what we talk about. I don't mean you have to dump your bags. You can just diversify your bags and then ride it out, because at the end of the day, this is crypto. You're going to be riding a roller coaster. Bitcoin and Ethereum are the strongest assets in the space based on market cap, visibility, and whatnot. So I still have positions in Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I do have other altcoins. And I sold some of my Bitcoin and I sold some of my Ethereum, but I still have Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm banking on those still being the leaders. But I would say just employ some patience.
Let me show this
little
real quick.
diversity.
Let me share this. So likewise, right? I wasn't here for all the other halvings that Bitcoin has had, right? I got in right at the start of the last one. And so you're looking at, right here's the first halving, and Bitcoin was pretty much up only. Here's the second halving, and you kind of had a dip right after, but it was short-lived and literally up only. Third halving, literally not really, it never visited the numbers. It was up only until the top of the, you could say the top of this cycle. And then right now we're about to get this one, and we kind of have a little bit of bearishness leading into it. Now, could Bitcoin come down a little bit further, chop a little bit? Yeah, it could, until it runs up. But I think you, like right now, if you've been buying Bitcoin, especially down here in this area, I feel like you've got a winner. There's no reason to be worried about it. Now, if you're heavy into alts, that's a totally different story, because alts don't react the same to the Bitcoin halving. If I could, I don't have it pulled up to like overlay, the total 3 or total 2, but I would say this. Let me pull up one other chart here real quick, and I'll share this. Share screen. So one thing to keep in mind, if you are heavy in alts like Velodrome, Aerodrome, the next maybe play that you're trying to run is come up here and go to your trading view and type in Bitcoin dominance, because this right here is going to tell you all you need to know about where we might be heading. I'm just going to turn this on the weekly. So these right here were your alt seasons right here. These big drops in Bitcoin dominance. You could even stretch that one up a little bit further. But when Bitcoin dominance is dropping, that's when alts run. And Bitcoin right now has been ascending, upwards. Right now it's sitting at like 55%. It just topped out on the top line of that by 57, 50, 58%. Would I be surprised to see it pop up to something like 60%? No, I wouldn't, especially if we get because here's the thing, right? Bitcoin could fall to 58K, 57K, really put some fear in the market. Guess what that's going to do to alts? They getting wrecked. Like alts are probably going to, alts could probably drop another 20, 30%. And that means even though Bitcoin didn't go up in price, Bitcoin dominance though would probably shoot back up to 58, 60%. But that could be a top, right? That could be the fake out, because then once Bitcoin starts to move up, alts are going to move twice as hard. And so that's when you'll get something like, it may not be this, right? I know everybody wants this like, drastic, but it might be a slow bleed out, right? More like this one, or, it could be a ladder step down type effect. Who knows? But I do think that, looking over the next, I would say month, 6 months, that's what you're, obviously who knows, it could, Bitcoin, it could drop
That's what we
crazy.
want.
I mean, yeah, it could be a really hell of a, alt season, but it also, you have to also think it might be, it might be a small one, then more up chop and then down. I mean,
What they
that's the
say,
game.
history often, I mean, they say
Doesn't
history doesn't
repeat,
repeat, but it
but it often
often
rhymes.
rhymes. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we're looking for a nice rhyme right now. See if
Yeah.
if history got a couple bars for us that we like.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. It's like if you are new, right? You're new to trading, the best thing to do is to follow people who can educate you in the space, because when you find educators who can really break down the charts from a global perspective, from macro, like I'm talking everything. I'm talking like, all right, you go look at the S&P. What the hell's the S&P doing? It's taking a nosedive, right? Maybe you shouldn't be expecting your alts to run hot when most of the,
And the dollar's going up.
yeah, you got the
Right.
dollar right
Gold,
here.
oil.
Yeah, you really, and you see that I have charts, lines on all these charts, right? I'm looking at everything to really see what's going on. And honestly, even today, S&P still diving. I was gonna pull up the daily.
Still dumping on us, huh?
I will say it does have a little bit of support around the 5,000 area, but yeah, it's had a rough week to say the least. But I don't know. I'm still thinking we get a little bit of a breather here soon, kind of like how you saw in the past S&P, where it kind of had that first initial dip, comes back up. But I do think we could still be seeing some chop. My big levels for the S&P are 48 and 4,800 and 4,600, kind of like right in this area where it could bounce. But yeah, there's a lot of things to watch. Obviously, we got to watch the dollar. We want it to go down. We want Bitcoin to go up. And honestly, like I said, I still think something like this is possible to play out. I mean, you've got Bitcoin now giving up a lot of those gains that it already had at the first half of the day today. So,
yeah, I think we're in a big shakeout. That's what it appears to be, is a big shakeout. And those who can't hold, or some people run out of cash too. This is where you just gotta wait it out.
Yeah, don't use leverage. Like if you're
I
new,
wouldn't use leverage.
Don't even if you're trained, maybe don't even use leverage, because right now this is where the market can really get you. Because like I say, if Bitcoin falls, if it falls out of here and it goes too far, like there is a lot of and this is where liquidations can really play into effect. There's a lot of people who would get liquidated, a lot of longs who could still get liquidated, and it could quickly fall down, to lower amounts. And now that could lead to a V-shaped recovery. But if you're using leverage, you're still going to get wrecked. Because even right now, I was thinking, especially with today's candle coming all the way up to here, I was thinking, okay, yeah, we're definitely probably going to go back and touch here. But just in the time that we've been in our show, it's already, it's already come back here. It's like if it closes down here, there's a good chance. Whoops, thought I had my brush on there. There's a good chance maybe it just comes down here, right? We don't even get that little relief bounce. It might just continue to go down and touch those lower lows and sweep them. But honestly, it's
you know what? And like we was looking at the fear and greed index, we might need fear back in order for the market to turn around. That's where the stock market is in fear.
Yeah.
But what people are doing, they are buying spot positions for their buy and holds, right? And that's what we want again for Bitcoin. It's not all these leverage traders. You want people to hold the line at 60,000 because they think or want Bitcoin to go to 100 plus. So that's all the people who's looking for a nice double if they can get 60 to 120. Leverage traders, like we said, anything can happen. Anything
Peter
can happen.
Schiff is happy this week. He's seen his gold run up while Bitcoin's been falling. So
He's talking right now.
Yeah, I know he has been. But hey,
got his gold.
That's really good. When Peter Schiff starts talking shit about Bitcoin, it usually means Bitcoin's about to rip. So that's another good thing. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that.
I bought a little precious metals a few years ago, and they have all increased in value. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
So you got to diversify. I don't have a whole bunch, but you got to get you some.
I'll say this. I did see one post. It was like, what should we be looking at, to diversify into? And one guy was like, you should get a kilo of gold, a kilo of silver, one whole Bitcoin if you can get it. Have a little bag of alts maybe that you hold.
Get you a little jar of oil.
Yeah. Hell, no, you don't even need oil. Just get you some GPUs.
Gasoline?
No, GPUs. The NVIDIA is showing that's the new oil right now.
Facts, yes. Yeah.
That's pretty much all I got. We got a
semiconductor ETF, or you be all right.
Yeah, We'll have to see.
Definitely.
We'll have to see where we're at next week. Hey, this week was bloody. It was red. It was a mess. Let's just hope the halving happens tomorrow.
Mhm.
You know, we don't have to worry about the stocks on the weekend. So as long as we don't get no wars, maybe Bitcoin can get back to going up.
Yes, yes. All right, y'all. So we appreciate y'all for tapping in. Make sure you hit that like button, share this video with a friend, and we have episode 104 coming up next week, and we will see you then. Peace, y'all.